And today I've just been thinking about, I don't want to say relationships, but that's kind of a part of it, but kind of like parent, mother and daughter, mother and son, father and son, whatever. I've already mentioned it several times that my mom is not in my life, so that's always been a thing. Just me growing up feeling like, or blaming a lot of the fact that she wasn't in my life, just blaming that on everything wrong that happened and the way that I was feeling and me holding myself back and things like that. A lot of relationships that I get involved in, they have certain issues with their mom, but their mom is actually in their lives. Like mine is absent, but theirs is usually there. It's just that they, I'll say, don't get along well. Or it was something from childhood that the mom did that, you know, whoever I'm in a relationship with didn't like it. It didn't sit with them so well. So they grew up and the dynamic and the bond and all that, it just wasn't there. I was just thinking about it, and it's like, I know how I've felt and how I've reacted growing up in certain situations involving my mom and even my dad, because my dad was the one that was actually in my life. And me and him, I don't want to say we had a bad relationship, but it was kind of rough. It wasn't always that way. I was pretty much a daddy's girl, and then as I grew older, things just kind of and things are better now, but we were where we were. And I get it. Like I said, I'm a person that my mom wasn't in my life at all. And I guess maybe that's a part of why I feel the way I feel, because in a way I feel like, don't take it for granted, the fact that you do have that parent in your life, especially your mother, the person that carried you. Like, don't take that for granted, even though I understand some situations, some parents they're not great parents, to say it lightly. But I don't know. I just feel like the situations that I get involved in, we can say it's mirroring. We're mirroring each other in ways, and we're having to learn from each other in ways, since it's kind of different. I didn't have my mom, but yet I feel like, I still care about her. I would still give her a chance and everything. But them, it's kind of like opposite. I feel like, it's kind of hard sometimes for us. I was about to say for whatever reason, but I guess that too. But for us to take our own advice, sometimes we can give it and we can feel like we know, the best way to do something, the thing that'll have the best possible outcome out of, whatever scenario there is. But when it comes to our own situation, it's like, we can understand how someone else feels because we've been in the same situation or a similar situation, and then we can try to tell them how to get out of it. But just because it's similar, it's not the same, and we're not the same people, so we're not gonna handle situations the same way. We're not gonna experience situations the same way, and we're not gonna think and listen the same way. But we can still try to listen and try to take something in from the other, and then try to take a lot from within ourselves. Not a lot of the bullshit that's already got us, in that position. Just taking in, feeling it, and trying to release it, and trying to understand why it is going on, understand why it is you allow it to affect you so deeply, so heavily, and trying to figure out the best possible way that you can move forward or get through it every day if you have to deal with it every day. With parents, I feel like that's just something a lot of people are going to have to learn on their own. You can really talk to them as much as you want, but until they go through a certain type of experience with their parents, unfortunately, you can't really tell them anything. They're always going to feel like, well, this happened, they do this, I don't care, like, and this is how I am. And some people are kind of hard-headed, hot-headed, whatever, and you just can't tell them anything. They have to experience it themselves. And then some people, they realize it when they become parents themselves. I can't say that because I'm not a parent yet, but some people can realize things when they get older and start to see things differently because they're older and because they've gone through more experiences. And I can say that I'm in that boat. So, I can understand my dad in certain ways. There's some things where I'm still like, no, this is how I feel about that. And he can feel how he feels about it, but this is me and that's him. But at the end of the day, it's not to a point where it's like, oh, I don't feel like I can get along with him, and I don't got my mom and my dad, he's here but he's not here, so it's like I just feel like I'm so messed up because I don't got my parents. Like, at some point you have to stop blaming everything else. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it makes you feel whatever you feel, but it's up to you to just keep yourself in that or try to push through that and be like, no, I'm not letting this control my life. Sometimes I think about how I attract friendships and relationships with others that have broken relationships with their mothers. I think, why do they take that for granted? Me being someone who didn't have my mother growing up, and how much it hurt not having her. How I wish I could be in their place just to have a mother-daughter relationship. But then I think, instead of looking at it that way, which nothing is wrong with because it's true for some, but maybe I need to understand that even if she was in my life, it could have been the same relationship like the ones my lovers and friends have had with theirs. The same dynamic. It's not the absence or the presence. It's the action and reaction. The cause and the effect.
Stuck between all of my drama, like the baby and my baby mama. I knew this was gonna be a problem, I wanna explain. The better version of me died. Now I'm the one I despise, becoming a slave to my pride.
You built a wall that I can't break down, waiting for you to come around. I guess it's karmic from how we started out. Let's agree to be free before it gets too toxic, adding too many problems. Let's take what was meant to be taken, so it's ready to move, we've been separated.
When people are in their feeling, it's weird for me. And it's weird that people tell me I should be a counselor because I'm like, I barely know how to explain things. And sometimes I need a counselor myself. I'll feel like I'm talking to myself and that will frustrate me. But at the same time, I do want to learn to be able to speak in the way that I write or text. Because in those moments, I can see why people say and feel the way they do when I read back what I've written. So right there, I wasn't really trying to write a poem or anything, but I was just expressing some thoughts, and I do that sometimes. And basically, when people are in their feelings, like I guess I'd be in my feelings from time to time, but when other people are, I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know how to help you cope with that. I deal with a lot on my own. And I barely know how to deal with my own stuff sometimes, so okay. But then if it's through like text or if I'm just writing about the situation in general, for some reason I can just, it just comes out so nicely and it sounds so good. It's not always where it just comes so quickly. Sometimes I'll have to sit there and think about it. But when you're talking to somebody on the phone or in person and, they're down about something and you're trying to have the conversation with them to cheer them up or whatever, for me, sometimes it's just like, I don't know what to say. Sometimes I'll be thinking things, but I can't get it out, or I feel like, no, I shouldn't say that. That might make it worse, or no, I shouldn't say that. That doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. My mind just be all over the place. And they just sitting there talking. And sometimes it's good because sometimes people just need a listening ear. They don't need you to really respond much. They just need you to listen and understand. And
people do like that about me sometimes as well. But I know sometimes people be wanting me to say something like, okay, or are you gonna, I just vent it to you and you just sitting there nodding your head or whatever. Can you say something? This next one I'm going to read is not the full version. I'm not going to read the full version because I don't want to say I'm still working on it. I guess I can, but I'm going to use it for something else, keep it for something else, and it's a bit more personal, the first half of it, so I'm just going to read a portion of it. Where's the loyalty to yourself? You say you'll never go back. You say what you won't put up with. You say you're focused on becoming a better version of yourself, only to fall short and fall behind again, feeling worse than and less than before. You can't recognize yourself from your own eyes while you look in the mirror because you're trying to peek from the corners while you look away at objects and other faces.